It's that time. Oh, yes. We are here for a Friday. It's an adventure. I have a new beard, or I have a slightly more manicured beard. I'm less scruffy looking. Anyway, welcome to Friday. And why is there no music playing? Because I'm going to play the music that I put
here now. Hey, it's Sean Shapiro. Here we go. Knows the road rules better than most folks know. Ask your questions, bring the heat or keep it chill. He's got the answers and a license to spill. Ask a traffic cop, Sean's your guy. Breaking it down, no lie, no tie. Knows the stuff and things to keep you clear. Ask away, he's the voice you wanna hear.
I can keep it going. I absolutely love that song. AI rocks. That was Suno that I used to create that. But good morning. Happy Friday. I'm Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And I'm here for the next hour to chat with you about stuff and things, to chat with you, well, about traffic law, traffic safety, police stuff, employment, whatever you want to talk about. I'm your guy. Throw your questions in the comments and we'll get to you as we go. I got to talk about cool things today. Pens and pencils. Yeah, you're going to think I'm crazy, but I got a pencil. No, I got a pen a year or two ago at auction. It's a pen I would have never bought. It's right here, and it's brass. But yesterday I added to my collection of brass writing utensils, and it's a pencil that is brass, and I will show you those in a few minutes. Let's say hello to the folks that we're saying hello to before we get into the game, which is we already popped Akela Draconis on screen with greetings and salutations, and Randy McNaught, who says, "Good Friday, Sean. Best wishes from Forest City, from the Forest City." We've got dad jokes. If you got dad jokes, throw them into the comments so I can put them into the flagged content at the end. That's what Akela's doing right now. I'm just marking those for later. Canadian Ape and Red Schofield and Scott Krawchuk and Gott, welcome to your the show. Happy to have you here. McTag, is it Kathy? Who popped in? Edward, Mammal, we got Creator Steve. How you doing? Yona Bud, welcome to the show. It's going to be another day. It's the best day. It's my favorite day of the week. It's a day that ends, the magic of the week, which is sometimes stressful, sometimes not, but it enters into family time, and it's the most important time for me. And of course, next week for many people, it's March break, and that means more, people out on the street, people who aren't engaged in school stuff, so they are out enjoying the city possibly, or at least on a different schedule. So you got to be careful as a driver, as a cyclist, whatever your mode of transportation, you've got to be careful. Not to mention the fact that half the city is melting right now, which means ponding, pooling, potential for hydroplaning, all sorts of safety issues that you have to take into consideration. Yeah. All right, let's see what we got here. We've got Dandelion Orchid, who says, "Rock on," with some emojis. Red Schofield says that all police departments in Ontario are completely corrupt, helping Doug Ford to abuse something. Anyway, Reg has some pretty strong opinions, doesn't it, Reg? Well, I don't agree with you, Reg. I'm sorry. I can't agree with everybody, and I definitely don't agree with that statement. Because, no, as a former police officer formerly working for the city of Toronto, as a Toronto police officer, I didn't see any of what you're describing. So while I can honestly say that I've come across people who are not perfect, and sometimes we've talked about, not that I've met them or know them, but people who have done the wrong thing, that are investigated, that are bad cops, and those cops don't deserve to wear the uniform. But to say that all police services are inherently bad, well, I'm sorry. You're making those always statements. Those always statements don't mean very much, because they're just your opinion, and you're stomping your feet like a child. Okay, moving on. Canadian Ape wants to know what my feelings are on the victim surcharge on fines. Okay, so the victim surcharge is applied on top of the fine. It's a small amount, essentially. An $85 fine becomes $110. Where does that money go? It goes into a fund where victims of crime can apply for compensation. So let's say you were robbed and the robber broke your arm, and you can apply and say, I was the victim of crime. And it's not $1 million. You're not going to retire from it, but maybe you'll get for a few grand. I don't know what the actual payouts are, but I know they're not tremendously large. But Don't victims of crime deserve something? Maybe they're having a hard time as a result of the situation. And who are we taxing? We're taxing people who are already breaking the law, and they're not breaking necessarily criminal law. They're breaking Provincial Offenses Act laws, and what a great opportunity to take a couple of bucks off them to help fund the people who are being victimized by criminals. So I'm for it. I think it's great. At least here's the reverse. I don't see a problem with it. Maybe that's more accurate than I'm for it. But I'm also for increasing fines in general, and at least this puts it in a place that's good as opposed to putting it just into the coffers. Uh, boom, boom, boom. Nicholas Rizzi, I'll put you. Let's see here. Oh, okay. I'm going to keep going with some questions. I'll come back to Nicholas. I flagged you for later. Boom, boom, boom. Sisolage asked if I have ever thought about starting a podcast. So this live stream, as soon as it's finished, I download it, I upload it to podcast platforms. So it is a podcast of sorts, but I did have a podcast, and I'm relaunching that podcast. I'm just lining up a bunch of guests, and we're going to do this talking about traffic safety stuff, but talking to professionals, other professionals in the industry, talking to people who have other things to share, whether it be retired cops or people who make the best airbags in the business or whatever. And if you've got something that you want to share, that you think you've got a good line of people who should be contributing to that podcast, let me know who would make a good guest, and I will try and book them. If you are a good guest, I will try and book you. But go and you can find me at trafficcop.ca. There's a button that says send me a message, and if you've got suggestions, by all means, send them my way. Bernhard has a dad joke, which I'm just gonna cut and paste into the utter window. It's the utter window today. Okay, dad joke is there. We're going to flag it. Perfect. Okay, spring forward this weekend, so more daylight should be better visibility for pedestrians. That's also from Sisolage. I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm trying my best. So the deal is that, yes, you're absolutely right, and I've got some posts prepared for that to remind people to change their clocks, but more importantly, to recognize the fact that any change in your sleep cycle means that you're making, or that the roads become more dangerous. And when everybody's going through the same problem, where people's sleep is interrupted, yeah, we see an increase of 15% or more in collisions. So while there may be better visibility, change is generally a shock to the system. And that shock to the system can result in bad stuff. I'm all for just leaving it one way. I think they've done that in the States now. They don't do. Am I right? Or am I wrong? Do they still do the daylight savings time, or is that a thing of the past? Because I believe that there was a discussion. I know there was a discussion about getting rid of it. So why don't we get rid of it? Dandelion Orchid says, I think the victim for a fine surcharge system is a great idea. E wants to know what my rank was before I left, and that was police constable. I was a first-class police constable working at traffic services as a media relations officer. I was a motor squad officer before my collision, and then found myself in the game of media relations and the such. Hey, if you're watching and you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer, like I just said, and I go online to educate people about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. I am sponsored by some magical people and always looking for more sponsors. If you know people who want to support what I do, let them know where to find me. But most importantly, please like, follow, and share the live stream. I had 673,000 followers on TikTok when I left the police service, and now I'm at 42,000. A far cry, not nowhere near the 600 that I had, but I'd love to get back there. In fact, I'd like to hit 1 million. That was my original goal with the police, and I'd love to get back there. So if you've got friends, if you've got people who need to learn stuff, if you know new drivers, tell them. Not nude. I didn't say nude. New drivers who want to learn about traffic safety and traffic law so they don't get into trouble. Well, send them my way, because I'd love to educate and help them any way I can. All right, let's get back into it. We've got that one air cadet who says, if I get pulled over, do I have to ID myself, or is it resisting? So if you get pulled over, you're driving a motor vehicle, you are obligated under the law to identify yourself. You can be arrested if you fail to identify yourself because it's required by law. So when you're pulled over, an officer makes a demand: license, ownership, insurance. And those are required by law. If you don't, so one thing is if you fail to surrender the documents, because you have to give your actual license, you have to give a proof of registration, whether it be a photocopy or the original. You have to give proof of insurance, which is now available on electronic form from an app from your insurance company. Has to be from an authorized app, not a photograph of it. So if you give that, you don't get tickets. If you don't give that, you get a $110 ticket for your driver's license, $110 ticket for your ownership document, $65 for it, $60 or $65. I haven't written it in a while for your insurance documents. But if you say, I'm not telling you who I am, well, then you're getting arrested until we can figure out who you are. So yeah, you gots to tell people who you is. By the way, what do you think of the beard? The beard trim. I'm less Grizzly Adams today. But what do we have here? Encourage. Okay, yes. Driving instructor, maybe 17 years. Got it. Okay. 545 underscore 3.0. And they have a tiger as their emoji or as their icon of as their picture. Is their picture. Traffic pirates, and I think they're trying to say are police. Traffic pirates. I know. I think you're trying to be offensive, but police officers go out there and make people safe. They do that by enforcing laws. People who break laws are the bullies on the road. So when you say traffic pirates, suggesting we're off to get your money, to get the booty, to get the cash. No, people who break the laws are bozos who make it less safe for everybody else, and police are trying to protect everybody else from the bozos. It's a problem. My wife says, Happy Friday. Okay. Trump says it was 50-50. He won't change it. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm assuming you're talking about the whole tariffs business, but I believe I just heard news before we went live that that's being changed. So I don't know. I'm just saying a news channel. It's a traffic education channel. Okay. 50-50. You're talking about the time change. Trump doesn't care what time it is. He doesn't get up for work. Someone asked the farmers. That's funny. 545 underscore 3.0 says, what does he say? He says, media relations are propagandist. So I wanted to read that before I muted his account for spamming. What a useless. No, media relations, all about educating people and sharing information with the public. That's what I used to do. Propagandists would suggest lies. Yeah, that's not what I was into. That's not what I do. But kind of funny that people like to hate on the police. We have a problem, and this is a great way to segue into it. Hating on the police. The people who specifically go out there and create this air suggesting that the police are the bad folk trying to make society less good, trying to hurt or harm people. It's ridiculous. The police go out there, risk their lives every single day to make the world a better place, to make their cities safe. And without them, we'd be in big trouble. And guess what? We're kind of in big trouble. Why? Because the media and people like 545 underscore 3.0 are so busy hating on the police that nobody wants to be a cop anymore. That's why so many police agencies across North America and the world, in fact, are hiring right now, and they can't fill classes. They can hire more than they're capable of hiring. They're capable of hiring more than they can hire because not enough people are applying. So if you know somebody who wants to be a police officer, if you know somebody who wants to go serve their city, their fellow person, well, they should go out and apply to a police service and do some good. It's great pay, it's great support, it's a great organization, and you make a difference. You make a difference in people's lives. It's fantastic. Or you can sit here like the troll 545 and whine about it and suggest that things are bad. Well, they're bad only because they made them bad. Let's see. Why can municipal authorities charge your vehicle for speeding from a traffic camera but not the driver? That is from Canadian Flag, DM, Canadian Flag. Emojis get hard to describe. Okay, so actually it was pretty easy to describe. They were Canadian flags. All right. There's a regulation under the HTA that has given the authority for certain charges to be laid as owner responsibility, which means that there's no demerit points, and it's the registered owner's responsibility for the fine based on the evidence that's prepared and sent to court. So it's a different charge than Section 128 of speeding. It doesn't need the identity of the driver because we're just saying that this particular offense is the responsibility of the registered owner. You have a licensed registered vehicle for the road, and that's just the game it is. You're it. Now, if you don't want to pay it, tell the person who is driving. You're saying, well, I own the car, but I wasn't driving. Well, you know who you lent it to, so make them responsible. In the UK, in Australia, there are demerit points, and it still goes to the registered owner, but you can go have that assigned. So if little Bobby was driving your car, you can say, little Bobby was driving the car. Give him the points, not me, because dear old dad needs to go to work. But here's the thing with the financial impact of these offenses. It's only that. There are no demerit points that get charged by you, are charged assigned to you, so you don't lose your license, which is what the MTO demerit point system is all about. It's about tracking your usage of, or your poor usage of your license. And when it comes time to take your license away, that's what they do. Now, in terms of insurance companies, they don't care about demerit points. They don't see demerit points. What they see is convictions. And you don't see those convictions from traffic cameras because those convictions aren't on your license. So they don't affect your insurance. They're on your registered registration, which is not what they're seeing a report of. If you need more about that, let me know. And if you have questions about traffic safety, traffic law, put them into the chat. We're currently broadcasting on X, we're on YouTube, we're on Instagram, we're on LinkedIn, and of course, we are on TikTok, my favorite place. Just saying, I'm a little biased. Dua Mitzvah says, good morning, Sean. It's mitzvah time. We're doing mitzvahs right here, which is, mitzvah is a good deed. And we're all about doing good. We're helping the community. That's what this is about. Okay. Nicholas had a question earlier, a statement. If I go through a red light, but a drunk driver hits me going the other way, am I still getting charged for going through the red light, or am I being congratulated for coincidental stopping a drunk driver? It's, I love the questions. I would still charge you if I could prove it. But the truth is that without evidence to suggest that you ran the red light, the drunk driver is probably going to get the blame because they're drunk. So you might get away with it just surely because unless you announce that you went through the red light, or if there's independent evidence, the drunk driver saying, but it was a green light, is not going to get you in trouble. So don't run red lights. Don't get hit by drunk drivers. They tend to survive, and the folks they hit tend not to. So it's all around a pretty bad deal. Yeah, don't get into collisions. I can tell you from experience that they severely change your lives. Okay. Creator Steve says, beard looks great, buddy. Thank you very much, Steve. Steve says, are you planning walking? Let me quote, dude, are you planning on walking Motorama this weekend? So it's funny you mentioned that because I've had a couple of people ask me and I hadn't had any plans to go. Maybe I need to make a trip. And Steve says he'll be there Saturday afternoon, so I'll have to reach out. Yeah, I like going when there's a booth that I'm related to. Like if I'm going there to work a booth, I can justify it. But just walking around is harder for me. And then I had someone reach out. Is it left-handed artist? I can't remember his username, but he asked me if he's got a booth at Comic-Con next weekend and asked me to come visit him if I make it down. So now I want to go to both Speedorama or Motorama, I should say, and I want to go to the Comic-Con, which I historically actually worked it. I did a booth with Mad last year for Comic-Con. I used to do paid duties for Comic-Con. I love Comic-Con. Let's see here. I will flag this question from Nicholas Rizzi and come back to it in a moment. Buck Fanks says, beard is looking fresh. Well, thank you very much. And I got let's see here. I got my, I'm copying this dad joke in. Maybe it wasn't a dad joke. Spider 3 Aces says, hey, good morning, buddy. Good morning to you. And Grizzly Adams would have been proud, I'm assuming, with my previous beard, but no longer would no longer be proud since I had it trimmed. And he goes on to say, Sean, you know those people that do the investigative journaling and annoy the police? Can you help stop that, or how can you stop that? So you're talking about the auditors, the people who audit the police. Sometimes they make really good videos, and as much as they're annoying as all get out for the coppers, they've uncovered a whole bunch of coppers doing the wrong thing. So I've got mixed emotions. Whereas I would be annoyed by them, but I would be doing the right thing, so there'd be nothing to catch. But there are some times when cops are doing the wrong thing. I like the auditors when they're doing stuff and the cop shows up and the whiny person who called the cops says, get rid of these people, they're not allowed to be here. And they said, I'm just exercising my rights. And they said, yes, you are. You keep doing it. And I love those. But in general, I don't like the wasting the police time. Like annoying the people by exercising your rights to then have the police called, waste the police resources to come talk to you because there's a complaint and now the police have to respond. I have mixed emotions. Anyway. And then there's the people who do it in Toronto and they some of them are just really annoying. One of them used to be a cop. Okay. Jonathan Nathanson wants to know why police allow protesters to illegally occupy the road, contrary to the HDA. Protesters have the ability to get a legal road closure permit, so why do police continue to allow it? Jason, I scratch my head and I don't know. I've never been involved with the planning or monitoring of protests from that perspective. I've never been a PSU officer. I've been, I've worked with the. That's not a good message. Service internal error. I hope that TikTok is. No, it's still here. Someone send me a message on TikTok and make sure that the messages are coming through. Oh, yeah, I can do that myself. Hey, it went through. Okay, it was an error and it seems to have resolved itself. So yeah, when I was with Motor Squad, I did a lot of things, but I didn't plan or deal with the why we don't clear them off. I like to see them. I can't stand protests. They drive me bananas. I don't understand why people don't just go to work. But that's me. Rarely Under Par says, good morning. I'd like to know what the signaling requirements are for traffic circles. You don't signal in, you signal out, at least in Ontario. I can't speak for other provinces when it comes to that because I've never really looked into it. But it makes sense, right? The only place you can go is into the traffic circle. Like there's nowhere else to go. Once you're in it, you don't have to signal unless you're exiting it, but you do need to signal the exit. And I was in the traffic circle yesterday, and I actually captured the video because, as per usual, it's a game of chicken. It appears that people don't realize that they can't just scoot in; they have to yield to the traffic inside the traffic circle. And they're supposed to be safer, but my heart rate goes up whenever I get into that oh, this person is not going to let me in situation. Also, Jamie, a.k.a. me, sent me a heart gift. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I saw it. I said I was going to say something about it, forgot about it, remembered about it, and now I'm saying thank you. All right. And Spider 3 Aces also says that headlight video with the light switches, I shared it with on my stories. Good laughs. That was unbelievable. If you missed the video, I put it up last night. It was a stitch where someone duct taped 3 LED AA powered light switches. I have some of them. They're great. They have 2 COB bulbs in them. I think it's called COB. Like high intensity LED light. Isn't it LED, right? Liquid? No. Yeah. Anyway, really bright. And I have them in the closets that don't have wiring. Well, they put 3 of them on their headlight at what I think looks like a Mustang. And it was hilarious. Okay, let's see what TikTok is talking about here. Boom. What is, come on, scroll back because it gives me these updates to say there's 5 new messages. And then when I go to look at it, I can't get rid of the thing that says there's 5 new messages. So I can't read what's underneath it. Okay, here we go. To charge the car for ticket is money grabbing. That's Amelia, who doesn't like traffic cameras, I'm assuming. No, to charge the registered owner for something that the person driving the vehicle that it belongs to the registered owner is a way of encouraging the registered owner to drive better or ensure that the person they're loaning the vehicle to drives better or not loan the vehicle to the person who drives poorly. Either way, there is a cost of doing business. If you're going to do dumb stuff in the car and make roads unsafe, then you need a lesson. If the police officer is not there to teach you the lesson, automated enforcement's there to do it for them. At the end of the day, the goal is to get you to correct your bad behavior, and it is bad behavior. You should not be doing dumb stuff in a car because dumb stuff is often dangerous stuff. It's not money grabbing. I think you should lose all your money if you break the law. I have no sympathy for you. Don't break the law, you'll keep your money. Simple as that. All right, moving along. And Bot says, and Bot, who is not a bot, says, any light beside a school should have a camera. All school zones should have cameras. Yes. And they follow to say, if you don't like it, don't use the road. And I couldn't say it better. I was much more eloquent than my version. Brady Williams says, are police less likely to pull over someone who's speeding on the 401 as long as they aren't reckless? And they follow up to say, like, weaving in and out of lanes. Well, here's the thing. Police are less likely to pull someone over if they're not noticed. So have you ever noticed how cats and dogs follow the dancing string, and when it stops dancing, they don't want it? It's kind of like that for cops. If you're standing out of the crowd, if everyone, and I hate the go with the flow concept, because it doesn't make it legal. It's not legal to drive fast just because everyone else is driving fast. So it just means everyone's breaking the law. But the reality is, if everyone's breaking the law by 10 or 15 kilometers, well, it just looks like the flow of traffic and nobody's paying much attention to that. But the one bozo who's zigzagging or going through or is a marked departure of everybody else, well, that catches our attention. And that one is going to be the focus of our efforts to stop and charge. Is it legal to speed because everybody else is speeding? No. Is it safer to speed with everybody else? No. No one should be speeding. But if you're the guy who's doing double what everybody else is doing, well, you're the focus of our attention. That car guy asks, is lane splitting on a motorcycle illegal in Ontario? Actually, it's illegal across Canada. Nowhere in Canada is it legal to lane split or lane share. I have no problem with someone who scoots a couple of car lengths ahead to avoid being the bumper stop for the bozo on their phone, but it doesn't. Driving through traffic, whether that traffic is moving or stopped, which is the difference between lane sharing and lane filtering, neither of those is legal in Canada. Could be charges laid for careless, could be charges laid for dangerous, which is criminal, or stunt. So any one of those three, depending on what the officer sees. And in the States, because everyone says, but it's legal in California. California and 4 other states, total of 5 states in the U.S. allow it. The rest don't. Not safe. Even in California, the California Highway Patrol states on their website, it's legal, but dangerous. Be careful. The biggest issue is speed differential. Okay. Tavish Ahmed wants to know, can we take a U-turn on a red light if it's safe? I have seen people doing it. If the light is red, you cannot make a U-turn. The light is red. You cannot proceed on a red. Not legal. I see lots of people doing it too. They're bozos. Not legal. Or Fugazis. Somebody else, I forgot the username, but he keeps reminding me whenever he's here. When you're looking for a word to call someone who does that, it's a Fugazi. That's his word, not mine, but I like it. All right. And somebody else actually agreed and said, oh, no, sorry. That car guy says, is lane splitting on a motorcycle illegal? And user lots of numbers says, yes. Well, user lots of numbers, you're incorrect. Elo Trapper says, how does permissive use coverage work? Permissive use? I have to look it up. I'm not an insurance person, and what I do need is an insurance bureau person to come sponsor the show, or just to come in and talk about these things. I would like to know what permissive use is. Let me make a note because I'll research it and we can talk about it. Let me use my pen that I like so much. Permissive use. Okay. How does it work? We'll know next time. Hey, so this is the first pen I'm going to show you, and I think it's the coolest pen, and it's called a Kawetko Brass Sport made in Germany. So check that out. It is just a, hang on. Can I, there we go. It's got that pencil look. It's just a clicky pen, but it's chunky. I like it. And then I'll show you this one, I think. So this is the pen. That's the pencil. It is so chunky. It's a mechanical pencil. And it's neat. It is super neat. And I think I need to add lead. There we go. It is super neat. It's cool. It's cool. This is cool. It's the first time I'm writing with it. I bought it and looked at it and said, this is cool. And I put it away. Anyway. And here's the funny thing. I talk about auctions. I bought this at King of the North auctions. I think I got it for $10. It's $100 pencil, but I got it for $10, and it makes it that much cooler. Does the end come off? Whoop. That's got it's just got a regular mechanical pencil inside, but it's got such a cool facade. Yeah. Awesome. Love it. All right. Where we go? We'll come back to this permissive use coverage work. I don't know what that is. What is it? Somebody know what permissive use is? Shout it out. By the way, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you're watching this show and don't follow, then I ask you why. Why? You should follow. Not only should you follow, you should like. And if you're on TikTok, you should tap until your fingers go numb. But that's another story. If you're watching on YouTube, you should follow. In fact, please, everyone here, go to YouTube when we're done. Follow VoiceOver Cop channel. I've got like 257 followers, I think, right now. I'd love to be over 1,000. That's just a thing that allows us to move to the next level. I would like to get to 1,000 followers. So please go and follow. Like, subscribe, share. Sharing is the biggest thing. Oh, by the way, all of the archive footage, every show I've ever done is on that YouTube channel. If you want to go back 3 years of archives and watch how bad the show used to be to how good it is now, or bad it is, depending on what your opinion is, it's available there. So if you want to watch old shows, you can. And if you want to listen while you're on the go, know that I also upload the episodes to podcast platforms. So if you want to be on the road listening to it, you can. And additionally, if you have questions that relate to personal injury, we have the fine folks at Diamond and Diamond Lawyers who I can send you to. They know stuff and things about that. If Barrett Legal is the tax guy, if you've got questions about tax law, they're the people who do that. And Lawyers and Lattes are also coming on board. They do wills. They're all about wills. So I think they're like the number one will law firm in the country. I think so. Okay, moving along. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay. Bot says, I encourage a healthy protest. Just stay off the highway. They should all be charged. I don't disagree. So let me rephrase. I'm not a big fan of protests that take up roadways and disrupt people's lives. I know they're trying to get attention, but people got to work. Lives are difficult enough. And yeah, they should all get jobs. Actually, a lot of people are paid to protest, apparently. Okay. If I'm in the carpool lane and there's a cop pulled over on the left shoulder, can I exit the lane? What a good statement or a good question. So the slow down, move over law is in effect, and when you are being pulled over by police, it's to the nearest curb or edge of roadway. So if you're in the passing lane, you could be being pulled over to cross over onto that side. So if they're occupying that space, then yes, you could move over safely. And is that reasonable? Okay. We talk about rule of law versus intention or spirit of the law. So changing lanes over the double line when no one's around because the sign says you can't do it obviously is enforceable. You can't just do it because you want to do it. You're going to miss the exit. You got to plan better, pay attention. But if you're doing it to save or protect the lives of workers on the road, you can do that too. You know, that's something you can articulate in court. And if that copper charged you for that, or if another copper charged you for that, well, shame on them. That's ridiculous. Because they're moving over to protect an emergency services worker and comply with the law as they interpret it. It's different than saying, well, the speed limit's 100, but I want to do 120 because I'm late. And well, you know, you should appreciate that I'm late and I got to pay my bills. Different argument altogether. Creative argument. But no, and I had someone trying to make that argument. I also had someone trying to make an argument about speed. So let me ruin your morning with. They even deleted it afterwards, but I'd already taken a picture of it. Stand by. I'm gonna share with you the screen grab of the most ridiculous conversation I think I've ever had. Like people, when I'm not the only person losing my mind that something is ridiculous. I can tell you that it's legit ridiculous. Oh no, I pressed the wrong button. Don't do that. Here we go. Hold on a second. Add a scene, media. What else can I do? Video, screen share, image. There we go. Stand by. Here we go. All right, here we go. I'm sharing it up here. Let's see if it loads up properly. Can you see it? Can you see it? Oh, I want to make it bigger. Well, this is just not good. All right, I'll just read it to you because that stinks. Here's what they said. Some cars are different. I can go 110 kilometers an hour max where I'm at, and I'm passing a whole bunch of people going 110 because they're passing other cars going 110 who are also passing cars. Did that make sense? Did that word salad make sense? My response, what on earth are you going on about? If you're both traveling at 110 kilometers, you're going at 110 kilometers, whether you have an elephant on board or not. If a locomotive and a semi and a car and a motorcycle are all traveling at 110 kilometers an hour, which one's going faster? They're all going the same speed. They said, how about this? My dad and my brother both have a car. My mom goes with my brother. My sister and I go out with our dad. Both cars travel at 110 kilometers an hour, but my brother's car goes faster due to the weight. Really? No. Ground speed is ground speed. It doesn't, no. It may have taken more, energy to get you to speed because of weight, but when you're at the speed, travel, no, you just do it 110. They went on to say, okay, then explain how some cars go faster than other cars while doing the same speed. That's right. It's because of the weight of the car. I tapped out at that point. I mean, other people were losing their stuff in schools. Please do better. Fix this. That person had a Canadian flag in their name. It was Sarah with 3 Canadian flags. The system failed her. It's just like, maybe it was a joke. I don't think they were. I think they were serious. Moving on. Okay. Is there somewhere I can go to find out correct information on how to sell my old car privately? Well, what would you like to know about selling your old car? Here's the thing. I'm laughing because Akila says, wow, that post gave me a headache. So in terms of selling your old car, I've had the pleasure of selling a number of cars used. The first thing you need to do is determine whether or not you're going to have it certified or you're selling it as is. If you're selling it as is, get a used vehicle package and don't certify it and just sell it. Know that might reflect in the price and change the pool of people who are willing to pay for it. If you want to certify it to make sure it's safe and you can advertise it as certified, then that's a great way to go. You take it to a mechanic, you get it certified, you get a used vehicle package, and then you list it for sale. When someone buys it, here's where the magic happens. You have a used vehicle package that explains everything, the history of the car, who's owned it, if there's any collisions on it. It also gives you some basic information. That's a $20 package you're required by law to get now to sell your car. Now, once you sell it, what do? Well, technically speaking, you sign the ownership portion, the vehicle portion of your ownership document, the green printed slip that you get when you registered it for plates, and you fill it out with the buyer's information, and you hand it to them. They go register the vehicle. Now, I suggest also photocopying, and you do that. You fill out the buyers and sellers agreement in the package. But you should also take a picture or record the information and telephone number of the person buying it. I would even take a picture of them. Here's the deal. Some people are not honest and they don't register the vehicle. They do one of two things. Either they never register the vehicle and drive it uninsured and unplated or with stolen plates. And then eventually they abandon the vehicle or it gets in a collision. And what happens is it gets towed, put in an impound lot, and then they call their registered owner to pick it up. But guess what? That registered owner is you, because they never registered it. They left it in your name, so you become responsible. And even if you have a bill of sale and all that stuff, you will be fighting with the tow owners and the ministry to say, but I sold it. So there's more you can do. One, you can make sure you have all that the photos of the people, so you can turn to police and say this never happened properly. The other thing is make sure that you fill out the name and information of the person buying it on the ownership document, because what happens is there are people who do something called curbsiding. That is where they buy the car from you and try and sell it for a quick flip and make a couple of bucks in between without paying tax. They don't want to register it in their own name. They try and sell it to somebody else. That's illegal. They have to buy it unless they are actually not unless. If you're a dealership, they take it into their inventory and it sits there until it gets sold, and it's a different situation on the books about taxes because it's a business, not a personal use. End of the day, they're not dealers. They're flipping it, and they're trying to keep their names out of it. Not only are they making money without declaring it to the government, but they're also driving around a vehicle that's still yours because they haven't transferred it. Sneaky stuff. So my suggestion is do transactions at the ministry office. You go in with them, you transfer the ownership right there. At very least, if you're not going to go with them to do the transfer, go to the ministry after you've sold it with all your pictures and copies and information of their driver's license and everything, saying, this guy bought it, please put it on file. and they can put a note saying that you've sold it and to take yourself off the vehicle. That at least, you're doing your due diligence. You're doing an extra step. Let's see here. Nicholas says, wait a second. Are you saying you've had a more ridiculous conversation than you're having with me? He says, ouch, I have to step up my game. That's too funny. What do we got here? What is this? Oh. Ale wants to know, how's it going? Was wondering what reasons can my car get impounded other than stunt driving, impaired driving. There are others. There are other triggers. What was it called? The VVIP. There's a couple of things that for violations in relation to what is it now? There have been times where I pulled over a vehicle that's part of a VVIP impound program, and I can't remember what it is. I don't know if it's a violation when it comes to. We can Google this. We can figure this out. Stand by, because now it's bugging me. Oh, by the way, any firearms owners, anybody who's a firearms enthusiast, at 11 o'clock, apparently the RCMP is coming out to announce how, or is it the government or the RCMP who's doing this one? Because it's orders in council, and it's kind of shady the way they do things, and they're going to ban more guns. Not happy is the firearms community today. This is the third announcement of baloney. But anyway, 11 o'clock, that's happening. So I'm going to try and end the live in 18 minutes so I can watch that. Okay. What was I asking? What we're looking at? It is VVIP. Okay. Just doing a quick check. I may not be able to find it because it might be an internal acronym. Yeah, it's not. It's not. I'm having difficult typing and talking at the same time. Okay. I generally like to research after the show rather than when we're live on the air. But this is an interesting question. That's giving me baloney. Suspended license, which would be the VVIP program. You're driving with a suspended license. Boom, boom, boom. Automatic 7-day impoundment. Okay. No, uninsured vehicle. So this is ChatGPT actually giving incorrect information because uninsured vehicle doesn't result in an impound. No, it's speculating. Can't trust ChatGPT. You got to know your stuff. That one I know for sure is incorrect. All right, we're going to come back to that. I'm going to do some research. Am I related to Mark Shapiro? Not that I'm aware of. Lama sent a heart. Thank you so much. Andrea wants to know, when I stopped being a cop, could have sworn you were with TPS. I was with TPS up until the end of August of 2024. I left it was technically the first couple of days of September, but that was a weekend, so it rolled over. My last day was a Friday. It was a hard day. I miss the folks at Traffic Services and the Toronto Police, so much so that I went and I worked with them for the International Auto Show and hung out with them for a week and a half, helping out at the Toronto Police booth just to be able to spend some time with my friends. But yeah, it's been a while. We're approaching 6 months. Cotton Eye Joe says, hey, is it legal to go from the right lane of traffic all the way over to the left turn lane? You have to make individual lane changes, each one being signaled and shoulder checked to be safe. You can't just do one sweeping movement, and that could be careless driving. Okay. Archibald Finkelbot says he probably thinks a pound of feathers is lighter than a pound of iron. Yes, I imagine you're right. Okay. We have a question of, how do I become a special constable? Do I just wait for the website to say apply now? And kind of, sort of, you do. I wouldn't just wait. I would investigate. I would ensure that there is, information or things that you need to do prior to. Prior to simply waiting for an announcement. So let me go up to the website. TPS/careers. Oh, I see what I just did. Okay, here we go. Share my screen. And make this bigger for you. Okay. So if we go to civilian roles, we'll see what jobs it was 5. I looked yesterday. It was 5 different jobs. Are there more? Are there more? 5. Safety coordinator, parking enforcement officer, senior advisor, analyst at strategy and governance, and communications operator. Okay, so yes, it is the same as yesterday, but more importantly, things you can do in the meantime. Go to the special constable section and read this, know this, find out what things you need to do, get the certifications in advance. If you need first aid, get the first aid. If you need to get an OACP certificate done, do that first. Don't wait to then find out that the process requires it later and only start reading because then you have the, you know, the instinct to move forward. You don't want to be held up in the process. You want to be ready to go as soon as that job posting is there. Of course, if you meet the requirements for special constable, you might also meet the requirements for police constable, and they are taking applications there all the time. We need good people to put on a uniform and protect our city, so go and apply there. If you don't make it, you can always continue for the special constable. But special constable, I was one. It's a great job. I think police constable is better. That's why I switched. So if it's something that you can do it. Make the change. All right. Or if you know people who are interested in parking enforcement, communications operator, all those jobs are good. They change all the time. Check them out. tps.ca/_. No, /careers. /_. The heck am I saying? Okay. So what do we have here? Oh, okay. This is there's some good stuff here. How do I? No, that's okay. If I'm not speeding, if I don't think I'm speeding, just deny. You can deny all you want, but if you get pulled over for speeding, we charge you for speeding, whether you say you were doing it or not, because we know what you were doing, and then you can go to court. You can argue it there. Like it's we bring our evidence, you bring your evidence. I don't care if you get convicted. I'm going to bring my evidence. If I did a good job, I'm going to win. If I didn't do a good job articulating what I saw and did, then you might win. It's all fair. We'll see you later. No harm done. You get do it again, you get pulled over again, the same thing happens. Okay, Bot says the police in my city generally drive faster than the flow of traffic. Are police annoyed by this? Why would police be annoyed by driving faster? So they said most officers will do 60 to 50. When they get stuck behind a car doing 50, they get annoyed. Okay. So here's the deal with police and speed. Police are legally permitted to exceed the posted speed limit in the lawful execution of their duties. I've said it so many times, it sounds like it's a script. It's exactly true. The HTA allows officers to exceed the posted limit during the lawful execution of their duties, whereas fire and ambulance have to have an active call or a patient on board to exceed the limit and use their lights and sirens and such. Police can do it at any time. The only time police need to turn their lights and sirens on is to go through a signalized intersection displaying a red signal. They have to come to a stop, have their active emergency equipment on, and then go through safely, and only when it's safe. But to go beyond the speed limit, they can't if they can't enforce the traffic laws, if they're just stuck behind the person doing 50, they have to perpetually be moving forward. Otherwise, the cars behind them who already see them might change their behavior. I can't catch someone who's doodling on their phone necessarily. They might see me if I back up to them or slow down, but they're not necessarily going to see me if I'm speeding up from behind and looking over their shoulder. Similarly to seatbelts or drinking and drive, like anything, like just you're rolling up on those cars to do enforcement, and they have to have that ability to do it. So it's less about being frustrated, more about being effective as an enforcement officer. Okay. Our police, and we talked about that. The Myatt Fam 2.0 says, just watched your video. Follow-up question. When was the last time you wrote a ticket for 10 over? In a 30 zone, 10 over is more than acceptable. And when was it? Well, I haven't been on the road in 5 years because I had a motorcycle collision. Someone hit me when I was on a police bike on the way back to the station. So I have not had a chance to write tickets in some time. I miss it terribly. I liked making a change. Now I make greater change doing what I do now, doing what I was doing as a police officer in the media role. doing what I do now as someone who goes on TikTok, not as a police officer. Education is key. That's what I'm all about. So I have written, it was probably 5 years ago since I've written, at least 5 years since I've written a ticket for 10 over. Most of my tickets were for more, but if I was in an area that was a slow speed area, I didn't wait until you were doing 20 over. Can you imagine like the logic here? On the highway, if I give you a ticket and wait till you're doing 20 over because everyone's doing 10 or 15 over, then that's reasonable. But in a 30 zone, waiting till you do 20 over before I give you a ticket, no, I should be arresting you at 20 over. It's a ridiculous speed in a 30 zone. I'm exaggerating with the arrest, but you know what I'm saying. User lots of numbers says most cops are sociopaths. Change my mind. If by sociopath you mean someone willing to run towards the sound of gunfire to protect the public, then I would agree with you. If you're trying to say that they're just big bad meanies who go out and are being big bad meanies, no, I think you're absolutely wrong. I don't plan to change your mind because I imagine your mind is unchangeable. Let's see here. And the follow-up question, why is it some officers say their ticket barrier is 15 plus? That's because everyone makes up their own rule, whatever they personally choose to write tickets for. There's nothing in the books that says I can only write a ticket if they're doing 15. 15 plus is where points come in. And most people, 15 plus is again a 60, 15 over is 25 over the limit, 25% over the limit. That's fine. In a 40, 10 over is 25% over the limit. Up to the officer. And Bot says quite accurately, it really depends on the time and place. The right time, you'll get stopped for 5 over. And I 100% agree with that. Lots of dialogue here amongst peeps. Spider 3 Aces says they would apply for parking enforcement. I think parking enforcement's a great job. Let's see here. User, lots of numbers, different user with lots of numbers says, I had an interview. They wanted to hire me, did the background check, and they didn't choose me. Because you had a record from 10 to 13 years ago. But did your record get sealed? You have to have had your record can't be active. Your record, if you're talking about criminal record, you have to have received a pardon. So if you didn't get a pardon for your event, then that would have precluded you from applying. But if you had a pardon and you disclosed it, that shouldn't have stopped you. Would having 2 police officers as cousins make it easier for me to make it in? If those 2 police officers put in a reference that might get you an interview, but no guarantee that you'll be hired. What is this? Have you ever used your firearm? Oh, have you ever used your firearm as an officer? No, I mean, I've used it for training, but I've never had to use it in the line of duty, thankfully, because there's no fun in that. I've had friends who have, and it changed their lives, not in a good way. Okay. I don't know what Papa, whatever's. Haywire says, morning, Sean. Morning to you. Okay, good stuff. We got that. Hey, could you give a clarification on the use of hazard lights driving through whiteouts, please? I have a video on it. I have an article about it. If you go to my x.com account and go to my articles, you'll find that I have an article all about traffic hazards in traffic. I don't understand why people think they need to turn their hazard lights on to say it's foggy out. We all know it's foggy out. Does it make you more visible? It makes you look like you are that island off in the distance that keeps moving with you. It's really weird because you're supposed to be a static, immovable object at that point, a hazard on the road. Not saying that there's a hazard outside that everyone clearly sees. It's a hazard on the road. So if you're stuck in the middle of the road, hazard light makes sense that we can drive around you. But driving through the same mess that everyone else is going through makes no sense. So, yeah, check out the article. In fact, I have a bunch of articles that you may actually enjoy reading. Check them out. They're also on my LinkedIn page. Okay. Oh, yeah, those red lights that are on cars. Just as easy to see. Okay. Jeremy King says, He means 80% of cops are on power trips and corrupt. The other 20% just remain quiet. Well, I disagree with that as well. Ever involved in carding indigenous or other minorities? I've carded when carding was there. But here's the deal. You know who the number one carded person was in the city of Toronto? It was a white dude. So when everyone says carding was all about minorities, it wasn't. It was just recording interactions. And they've changed the carding rules essentially. They don't call it carding. But now when you put in a piece of information, you say to the person, I'm going to put your information on, okay? Like, and it's, you don't have to give information, but if you're part of an investigation, you do. It's just the random stops. Like I stopped and talked to Bob. Bob said he was at church. Bob, you okay if I write this down? Yeah, it's no big deal. But has it changed the way investigations take place because people are now scared to write down information? Do you know how many murders were solved because of carding? Everyone's got a big a big complaint about writing things down, making notes about people, but they solved murders doing that. Just saying, they solve less murders without it. I can tell you that. What is this? What about cops going through red lights with their emergency lights on just to go to Tim Hortons? I love that people bring it. Everybody and their cousin claims that they see this every single day. It's absolute and utter baloney because it doesn't happen every day. Police and fire and ambulance are required to go to turn on their lights and sirens in order to go through a signalized intersection with their red. Sorry, let's back this up. Police, fire, and ambulance, according to the HTA, in order to go through a red light, a intersection that's showing them a red light, they must come to a complete stop, have their full emergency system on in order to go through. When they get to the other side, they can turn it off. Now, police can do that for any lawful purpose. Fire and ambulance can only do it going to an active call or transporting a person on their, I was going to say prisoner, not prisoner in the ambulance. But if you see someone, now let's say on the rare chance a police officer does go through and then pulls into the Tim Hortons, what do you think? He just needed a coffee really friggin' bad? No. The only excuse I could see for that is that they were going to a priority call and it was canceled when they crossed the street. It happens all the time. What do? You pull over and you let the adrenaline get like dump. You have to you wait. But is that realistic? Is everybody seeing this for real? No, this is not happening. Police get paid by the hour. There's no rush to go to coffee. No, in fact, what they're probably hoping for is to take as long to get to their coffee break as possible. Let's be real. Okay, I just love these things. All right, HTA 159 failed to stop on right for EV. Does this ticket apply if you stop on left shoulder highway on what? Yes, it does. So we're talking about the 159. Is that for the slow down, move over? Let's see here. Looky up here. One, what did I say it was? What's going on here? Why is this looking like this? HTA. Here we go. Failed to stop on right for emergency vehicle. So 150, so there's multiple wordings. 159 1A, failed to stop on right for emergency vehicle. 159 1B, failed to stop nearest curb for emergency vehicle. Failed to stop nearest edge of roadway. So it's multiple wordings for the same thing, but yeah. Ale says, got pulled over last night. Where'd it go? Here we go. Got pulled over last night, was drinking soda, and the bottle looked like a beer took a breath thing. It was that lawful. So there's something called mandatory alcohol screening. So it's two sides of this thing. One, if I pulled you over back in the day prior to the change, which I think was 2018, if I pulled you over and I smelt alcohol or you said, yeah, I had a beer 2 hours ago, then I could have reasonable suspicion to believe that you had alcohol in your blood. Thus, I could make a demand for a roadside screening device. It's the blow in the little box. But that's changed. See, now I don't need suspicion. You can say, I have not had alcohol. I've never consumed alcohol. Nothing alcoholic has never been within 10 feet of me. And I can say, I am making a demand under the mandatory alcohol screening that you provide a breath sample. And based on that, you have to make a breath sample. So it's absolutely lawful. Oh, Metro Music says, what service would you say is most officer supportive? I hear York is great. I think they're all great. I think there's very different organizations in different communities. City like Toronto has such a diverse type of experiences because there's more going on in the big city. But that's not to say that York Region isn't awesome. When I was 18 plus a day, I went and actually applied to York, and I was like 1 point below the acceptance. I was 18. There was no way I was going to be hired, but I wanted to try, so I did. And I never went back to them. I went to York as an adult. I say 18 and at a age, not really an adult to me, looking back as to who I was then, even though I knew I wanted to be a cop. But yeah. The deal was that I went to Toronto and never looked back. And I was Toronto as an auxiliary, Toronto as a court officer, Toronto as a police constable. Oh, I missed a couple questions here on Instagram. And they're not here to listen to it. Okay, 1 second. Nick Lasagna says, nobody signals, so it's always a gamble for me. Maybe being more patient. Yeah. Okay. Jason Nathanson says, does TPS traffic enforce construction vehicle regulations? Example, road building machines traveling with load, machines blocking roads. Yeah, there's construction liaison office that does that. If an officer saw it, any officer could enforce that if they had the knowledge to support it. Okay, Dame Dash 1 had similar things about these cars not being transferred. All right, we're caught up there. Okay. Oh, here's a good question. Nicholas Rizzi has lots of good questions, and I'd be ignoring them. Is diplomatic immunity a real thing? If so, have have them shoot criminals? Is that what you're saying? Oh, I see, from the movie quote. But diplomatic immunity is a real thing to some degree. They get treated based on the laws of their own country. I mean, they can be held here, and then ultimately they get extradited to their own country and serve whatever justice they have there. Flag that for later. What's the time? 11:03. I gotta wrap this up. I want to go see this announcement with the, or maybe we watch it together. Want to watch it? Anyone interested in this, in the gun stuff? Let me see if I can find it. Stand by. Come on. Okay, they're going to do a public. Yeah. How about CCF? Maybe CCFR. Stand by. I'm going to come back to your stuff in a sec. I'm going to try and pull up. I think they're doing. That did not work. I want live right now. Is there live right now? Maybe they're waiting to doing all my searches. I'm glad I'm doing this now. News, firearms. I know it's supposed to be happening right now. Come on, this is junk. All right. Well, apparently I'm not going to find it. I'm not going to be able to share it with you because I don't know where to find it. Okay. Ashley says, hey, Sean, hope you're having a great day. My stickers got delivered today. Thank you. Oh, great to hear, Ashley. Use them well. I sent Ashley some stickers because she asked, and do I have any stickers here to show you what they look like? No. They're well, I can't really show it. Here. So that's the sticker. Looks crap on black, but it looks great on lighter objects because it's transparent. I designed it with the thought of putting it on a MacBook, and it looks great on a MacBook. In any case, if you want a sticker, let me know. But I'm glad to hear that they arrived, Ashley. Appreciate it. I hope your friends and family enjoy them. Okay. What is this? Okay, Adam. Okay, Okay, moving on. Bot 9033, lots of numbers, says, I stopped beside a cop at red bumping his hip hop the other day. I asked him to change the light. He just laughed. Okay, good. People have sense of humor. The humans with badges. That's what they are. PS 1440 says, didn't you say that machines don't count? First 5 over the max kilometers. So they have a threshold. The automated enforcement cameras, they do have a threshold for speed. They do. Bot lots of numbers says, I wish cops would ticket more for improper signal. It's so annoying when people can't use the signal. Yes, when they don't have their signal fluid topped up, it is annoying. Jeff wants to know if I'm going to be at Motorama. I will try and drop by. I've had a number of people ask me, so I think I should go. We'll see. What day is the better day to go? My buddy is going on Saturday, so it might be Saturday that I go. But lots of numbers says, I'm curious what they say. Not that I own one, but I know quiet lawful owners. Quite, no, you meant quite. Yeah, we're not looking forward to the news. Whatever the news is going to be bad because all the bans have been ridiculous thus far. They've done absolutely nothing to change anything. They go after illegal gun owners, take away and make them hang on to the guns that have been used lawfully since day one, and does nothing to change the behavior of those unlawful criminals using their stolen or smuggled firearms to commit crimes. I'm ashamed of the people who have put these laws into effect because they're pathetic. Both the laws and the people who are pushing this, because it's malarkey. The government should know that. I think they do. I think that they just grandstanding. Oh, thanks, Ashley. Thanks for the gift. Appreciate it. Okay. Brune says, I have a story I think you'd appreciate about someone I dealt with for a tragic 6 warning. You'll have to let me know. All right. Let's see. Let's go. Stop for no windshield wipers. Given a 72-hour warning to fix it. 72-hour warning. You're kind. Now, what jurisdiction were you in? Because I've not heard of a 72-hour one here. We just do a straight ticket. Like I wouldn't let them drive away. Are we talking Toronto? King Tage? Like, what jurisdiction? North Bay. Okay. Yeah, everyone's got their own way of doing it. Like I think we're too big. I remember when it used to be 24 hours to bring your license or your ownership to the police station to prove that you have it. That's before computers were really, like, maybe it's more than 25 years ago then. But yeah, when I was a kid, you got time to go prove it. Well, we can look it up now instantaneously. We know who you are. You've already committed the offense. There's no warning. There's no come bring it and fix it. But that's cool. So they got a traffic warning. They came to North Bay's HQ. Did they fix their how do you not have windshield wipers on a vehicle? But she appeared at HQ and said he'd complied with the HTA section. And is the HTA section, was he trying to justify not having because he had a device? Was the device like a manual wiper that he stuck his hand out the window to do? Wow. That's crazy. It is. A long-handled squeegee. Come on. And did they buy that? Wow. See, funny. I immediately knew what you were talking about. As soon as you said they had a device, I said a thing they stuck out the window. And the next statement was, it produced a long-handled squeegee. And they got the full ticket. Good. I'm glad that sometimes there's justice and things work the way they're supposed to work. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing that. Are you still on the job? Did you retire? What's your story? What is this? I followed you. Okay. What is this? Brat says, I took my ownership out to get my VIN and forgot to put it back in. Oh, I got stopped once without my insurance. They gave me 24 hours to bring it in because you had pulled it out and you didn't have one. See, I can sort of, I would just not give you the ticket. I would just give you a warning. If you had a good story and you're like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Yeah. If you had said that to me at the side of the road, I would just be like, yeah, we're cool. Because I don't have to give you a ticket for this. It's just discretionary. As long as you were being, a grown-up, which is what you were being to get the treatment like that. Yeah, not every stop has to be a ticket. Even though I was a traffic guy, even though I was a hammer, Not every stop has to be a ticket. Bruin said, left 2 years ago after 20 years in. We had about the same time in. I had just shy of 25 in total. You started your policing career back in Scotland. I was in Scotland last year or the year before and had a great time in Scotland. Oh, we'll have to talk. I followed you back, so I got you. We can DM. Here we go. So Nicholas says I should have my own section like dad jokes, except my section should be called "You think your question is dumb? Listen to this." There is no dumb question, except the one that suggested that two cars traveling at 110 kilometers an hour were doing different speeds. But whatever. Let's see here. I think we're all up to date. I think we're good, and I'm going to go and shut it down because I need to listen about gun stuff online. I got to go find the gun stuff online so that I can, though, be depressed about the gun stuff online and be thoroughly disappointed in the government for doing this absolute insanity. Unless this is an announcement to say they're going to reverse the insanity that they've imposed punishing legal gun owners, then this is just going to be more disappointment. And all I'm hearing is anyway, I'm not going to get into it for another time. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a fantastic weekend. If you're going to drive sober, drive with no drugs, no alcohol in your system. It's the best way to go. If you are going to drink or use recreational drugs, drive not, which means take a bus, take a train, take an Uber, a taxi, whatever it is, but don't drive because my friends are going to be out there looking for you and they will have no problem arresting you, charging you, making your life miserable, all because you chose to do something really dumb. The kids these days know that this is terrible. It's not the kids that are doing this. Oddly enough, it is old fogies who are still trying to drive home to save cab fare or because they didn't want to plan. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. Also, park legally because Erin gets really out of whack, out of shape. She gets upset. Nicholas has a question. Says, if I'm walking down the street and a cop asks me for ID, but I don't have it because I'm walking, not driving, am I still getting arrested? If you're being investigated in relation to a serious crime, you could be detained to determine your identity. If you're walking away from a murder scene, but if you're walking, there's no obligation to produce identification. You must identify and say, yeah, my name is Nicholas Rizzi, but that's in your date of birth and address, and you can confirm who it is because it's in relation to something. But generally speaking, there's no obligation to talk to cops unless you're being detained. That's a different story. Paul, thanks for the follow. Gary, welcome. Okay. Bad joke. Why should you respect people who wear glasses? They paid money to see you. That's really good. That's really good. I wasn't expecting that. I'm going to use that. Okay. A Star Wars dad joke. The Mandalorian should have taken a little more of the craft dragon. What is this? The Mandalorian should have taken a little more of that crate dragon meat from Tatooine. He missed a huge steak. I watched The Mandalorian and I still don't get this joke. That was too loud. It was too loud for me. I apologize if it was too loud for you. Yeah, I can't identify what the crate dragon is. I got to go watch the whole bloody episode now or the whole show again just to be able to get that joke. But I imagine it was a big animal and he should have taken it because it was a mistake not to miss out on a big steak. I like steak. I went recently to a restaurant that served steak, all you can eat steak. What was it called? Normally, I would say I would go to my once favorite restaurant that I haven't been to in a while, Copacabana, all you can eat steak, Brazilian steakhouse. Big fan. But I went to another place, and the name escapes me. Maybe I was in the fog of steak at the time. Okay. Dad joke. I bought my son a refrigerator for his birthday. I can't wait to see his face light up when he opens it. I think you gave me that one recently because it's still good, but I think I've seen it. In any case, we got that joke from Bernhardt. What's Bernhardt's joke? I got a new pen that can write underwater. It can write other words too. Yes, But is it a brass one? Now I've got 2 brass ones. Yes. All right. It has been a slice. I am going to let you get on with your day. I appreciate you spending time with me, but I am going into weekend mode. And next week, well, it's again March break, so kids are all about being home and around. So be careful out there. Drive safe, and of course, drive sober. All the best. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm just trying to fix something. Where did that go? I'm looking for my name tag. Got to fix this. Huh. Oh, I can take this camera. There we go. But where's the name tag? I broke something.